Bill Carroll of Zinni62 Media and back again for Saturday Superlatives, beginning with, of course, the inaugural, well, not the inaugural, I guess we're doing it again, but week 0, which is simply a uh, catchy way of referring to the first week of the season because it's not a full week of the season. But some really interesting games were played, and it's been 229 games since we got to watch college football, so it was quite a great way to break our fast. I'll start with a terrific HBCU matchup. Alabama State in the SWAC MEAC Challenge faced Howard. And once again, as sometimes happens, you can just see that one team just simply has more NFL type athletes, or at least next level type athletes. Alabama State was simply the bigger, stronger, faster team, and it showed at almost every position. But there were some good players on both sides. Alabama State's defensive end, and I would start with defense for my Saturday Superlatives. Alabama State's defensive end, Stephon Young-Roll, great name, had 2 sacks. He's a sophomore with a bright future and reminded me a lot of Jerry Hughes. And then Howard also had a defensive end that impressed me. Marcus Brown had a strip sack, and it was recovered by the Bison, one of the standout plays. And frankly, he needs to be a little more consistent, gain a little more functional strength, and a greater array of pass rush moves. But he has really good length and good bend. And then, as many people know, Jacksonville State is going to be making the move next season to the FCS, and will be joining Conference USA. So this is their final, their finale as an FCS program, and of course they're now being guided by Richard Rodriguez. And they have some really good players. A lot of guys who've transferred down from bigger programs. But safety Deco Williams had a really good game, 4 solo tackles, 4 assists, and an interception. Really good instincts. Solid player in every way, and has the physical frame of a professional safety. And then Markale Benton and Chris Hardy are both really impressive players as well. Benton had a solo stop, helped on 4 others, and also had a sack. And then Hardy assisted on 5 tackles, had half a sack, and together with fellow defensive end Jalen J-Rock Swain, I love that name. J-Rock Swain had a solo tackle, 2 assists, and a half sack as well. And those are 2 guys that I think as the year goes along we'll be hearing more and more about, because they're guys that are physically strong enough to hold the point and have a pretty decent array of pass rush moves. And then moving on to Stephen F. Austin, they have an interesting player named Takai Lloyd. Stood out to me. One of those players that could probably play maybe nickel, possibly even free safety at the next level. Had 3 solo stops, 8 assists, also forced a fumble, and like I said, showed a good amount of versatility, but I'm thinking probably a nickel back at the next level. Austin Pay also impressed me a lot, and I really like their defense, or at least some players in their defense. Shamari Simmons, their corner, is a long, smooth player who had a pick and also had a solo tackle and 2 assists. Looked like a player who has potential to play at a higher level. Maybe if not the NFL right away, the developmental league, but I think this is a player that has NFL potential. And then they have one of those safety, sort of a big nickel safety situation where you have that linebacker / safety hybrid in Antoine Williams, leading tackler for the team that game with 8 solos, 6 assists, and once again flying around all over the place. Western Kentucky. And once again, watch out for Western Kentucky. Obviously, they're known for offense, and they have a terrific offensive, group there. And Tyson Shelton is, a terrific offensive mind with a really interesting staff. But watch out for their defense this year. I think they're slightly improved. And one of the leaders of that defense is linebacker Jaquez Evans. Tremendous showing. 9 solo tackles, 4 assists, 2.5 tackle. No, yeah. 2.5 tackles lost, including a sack. I think. Yeah. Also, remind me a little bit of Jeremiah Trotter, but just had a huge day, right? Huge day. Vanderbilt, of course, obviously overmatched, their opponent. No, overmatched by the But here's the thing about their defense. Once again, more athletic. Clark Lee is building a more athletic team. They're still not going to be, a threat to. They might flirt with bowl eligibility this year, but you can see what he's building. More athletic, more physical team. The most impressive player for me that game was Maxwell Worship, who had, yes, wrong religious word, 7 solo tackles, a forced fumble, pass breakup, big, impressive athlete, very much like a pro prospect. Very impressive also was corner B.J. Anderson, had a good showing, 4 solo tackles, just a good tackler, and not amazing in coverage, but I could see the potential there, like a player that I think will continue to improve. And then the most impressive lineman for me, at least, was Miles Cecil, had 2 solos and half a tackle for loss, but just seemed to always be in and around and involved. And I think you're going to see more production as the year goes along. Florida A&M, who really did a great job holding their own against Carolina for a while, despite having 20 something fewer scholarships, and then 25 of those players they normally would have had weren't available. So very courageous showing. But Major was indeed that. He was Major. 6 solos, 3 assists, and on top of that also had half a tackle for loss. Very impressive showing. Hawaii, once again, not the best of days for Hawaii, but better days are ahead for Hawaii. Timmy Chang, I think, is very much the right hire. And not just because he's a legend and he's going to, bring fans in, but because he's a really good young coach. But Hawaii has some players. Verdell Edwards II is a Texas native and an Iowa State transfer, very active, all over the place. 6 solo tackles, and once again, around everything. Sometimes he would force the play to other people. And then corner Leonard Lee chipped in with 4 solo tackles, 2 assists, and a pass breakup. And I think people are sleeping a little bit on Carolina. I mean, I know Sam Howell's gone. I know, Chandler's gone, and Tamon Fox and some other good players have moved on. But they've got some talent in Chapel Hill. I don't know if they're going to be the best or even the second best team in the ACC, but I wouldn't be shocked to do it the 3rd best team in the ACC. Power Echols, speaking of, all-name team candidates, had a fantastic game. 9 solo tackles, 1 assist, and 1 sack. And then Storm Duck, once again, another all-name team candidate. Younger brother Clifton Duck, who was very high on for those who follow the Consensus Draft Services and pro players prospects show that we do. Clifton Duck is one of our previous all-unappreciated team first-teamers. And Storm, who is the younger but larger brother, showed that he can cover, he can strike, he had 4 solo stops and a pick. So those are the defense. We're hopping over to offense next.